Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Sergey. I'm Chief Security Expert at Kaspersky Lab. And so basically, I'm working for Kaspersky Lab more than 16 years. And during these years, I've got a lot of acknowledgements for discovering 0 days, for inventing more than 32 technologies that are implemented in our products. But actually, I'm famous and I'm well known as the expert at digital forensics, incident response, reverse engineering, and malware analysis. So today I'd like to show you basically our view on the cyber threats, on cybercriminals, and how we present it in the Kaspersky Lab by building some kind of pyramid. So actually, I'm going to talk to you about the methodology that we're using in Kaspersky Lab, about the statistics that we collected during the incident responses, during the working with our products and collecting information from our users. And basically, finally, we're going to build this pyramid. So first of all, why we know about the threats? So basically, the first answer is because our Kaspersky Security Network. This is our cloud solution for our products that are connecting and collecting information from our users based on user agreement with our clients. So that's why when our client is facing with some threat during his regular job in the internet, we receive the ping to our Kaspersky Security Network, and we know where the user located, how he got on the, for example, suspicion website, or what malicious program he met during his regular browsing. So the second way how we get information about about criminals and about our clients is the incident responses. So actually, I'm the team leader of the security team that are arriving to our clients and collecting information about the incident. So we are seizing the hard drives, we're collecting all available logs, and during these procedures, we finally were writing and creating reports. Once a year, we are reviewing these reports and collecting information about what actually happened with our customers, but not just the home users, but big corporations that are buying our products and services. The third way how we collect information about the threats and cybercriminals is investigation. So first of all, Kaspersky Security Network is a global network that are receiving information, small pings, about all threats that are facing users in the internet. So we're collecting information during the regular threats about that are going to spread via regular internet browser, or from the email clients or instant messages, social networks, and so on and so on. So basically, this information is received by our cloud solution from products. Incident responses is the other way. And we know that the lockdown during the epidemics and COVID last year, we, of course, could not travel a lot. So actually 2 years ago, I was struggling really hard in Europe and Middle East, but basically most of our cases were happening in the ex-Soviet Union countries, and our experts who are located on the hometowns. So actually, they were working really hard during the last year, and still we have a lot of clients who are asking us for the incident response. The third way of collecting information is, of course, investigations, and basically we're working with a lot of law enforcement. Why? Because our big customers, big corporations, are writing the complaints and reports to the police. Of course, the cybercrime is the worldwide epidemics, and the law enforcements, they're limited in the countries, borders of the countries, and only working with the Interpol is actually the solution to fight with the cybercriminals. So, right now we're going to talk about statistics. Based on our Kaspersky Security Network numbers, we may say that the internet is going to be much more safer place. Why? Because there is the first number, 10%. This is the number of users that were facing the threats during their regular job. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I remember the time when, for example, in Russia, there was a chance to meet some threat, some cyber threat, and the chance was more than 75%. So right now, after 10 years, in 2020, we have this chance around the 20%. So all our job with this security experts society, with the law enforcement, with all security solutions that are working right now and evolving right now, they're actually making the great job. Because all this number, they're actually year by year, they're going lower. But there is one number that is always growing. Yes, of course, the internet is going to be a much safer place. But there is a number that shows unique numbers of the malware samples. And look what is happening. Cybercriminals are going to be pushed very hard by the law enforcement, security experts, and so on. And they're trying to escape. They're trying to invent new methodology, new malware, new techniques to get more money. And how we can see this? Because the number of the unique samples is always growing. If we talk about the statistics from the incident responses and the team that we were traveling a lot, but of course the closed borders, we may say that most incidents were happening in the manufacturers. So all these networks that are located in some facilities that are storing some goods or providing us some goods, they were after the several big incidents. And of course, the biggest incidents that happened in US. So the third number, for example, of the most cases that we have during the incident response traveling, it was for the government. And of course, we may say that, yeah, we heard some news about the attack in governments. But actually, if we will take a look on the same number during the last 2 years, 3 years ago, then we may say that this actually number is not growing or getting lower. So right now, all the news that we got from the news services about Russian hackers and Chinese hackers, that's actually just a point of view. But looking on the exact numbers, we may still say that this threat is on the same level for the last couple of years. The cases that happening in the financial industry is getting lower. And we know that still there is a threat, big cyber groups that are, cyber robberies, heists like in the movies, hackers that are robbing banks, and the big group like Golovanov or Fin7. These cases are going to be, actually, the number of these cases decreased. And the reason why it decreased, because all the countries, all the regulations and central banks and so on, they are working hard to protect the banks, the financial industry from the cyber attack. Actually, this is a common scenario for the several industries. So we know that when the one bank, for example, is facing with such a big threat like Golovanov, they can't protect themselves. So it's like a shield that is going to be broken by the criminals, because the shield was implemented and installed by the security team of just one bank. So that's why the regulators, the central banks, they're being one shield for all banks, and it's working. The number of the incidents happening in the financial services and financial industry is going to be lower and lower every year. if we talk about the statistics about the investigation, that we need to say about the few numbers. First of all, we are collecting more than 300,000 samples a day. And during our investigations, we are looking for the similarities in the more than 1 billion samples. So that's why when we are facing with some investigation about some real bad criminal, we may search for the history of his criminal activity for the 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And the reason why we're doing it is because of justice, because we know that sooner or later the guy should be stopped by the law enforcement. If we're talking about the numbers, how many groups, criminals we are monitoring every day, then it's going to be more than 900. If we talk about the reports, then during the last year, we created more than 300 reports about the investigations that we are handling right now. If we talk about reports about the advanced APTs and threats, this is going to be 121 reports during last year. So basically, this is our method, how we are observing cyber threats and how we are collecting data about the cybercriminal activity. So right now, we are ready to start building our pyramid. So first of all, basement. Actually, this is the really, let's say, unskilled criminals. They've got no idea about the, I don't know, disassembler or the programming languages. They have no idea about that. But they are really aggressive and they're hungry for money. So during last year, the most cases that we have are connected, of course, with the lockdowns, with the COVID, with all this news that we were, reviewing every day. And of course, this news, were used by the criminals to highlight people to visit the website and to enter their credit card number to, for receiving some help. So actually, there was a lot of fake sites that were with the logos of United Nations, that we know that humanity is facing big troubles, we're going to help and send you the money, just give me your card number, expiration date, card hold number, and CVV. So these threats, they were massive. Of course, the second type of these websites, the fake websites or scam, they were with the delivery. Because a lot of people, they were stuck at home and there was a lot of delivery service that were sending us some goods that we ordered from the marketplaces and so on. And of course, criminals, they were creating some fake websites and they were receiving money for fake delivery. And the third one, last one, it's the scams that connected with the entertainment in the social networks. So we know that a lot of people, they started to spend more time in the internet and they want some entertainment, so watching the TV serials, chatting with friends, playing video games and so on. And of course, a lot of scams that are connected with this entertainment appeared in the network. So that was the numbers. And right now, just let's review some examples of these fake websites. So basically, some of them are in Russian, but actually, if we will take a look on the big logos, then yeah, United Nations. It's the really famous logo on the websites that was used by criminals. This is not, let's say, big problem, because unskilled criminals, we can filter them, we can easily find the threats in the internet. The much worse scenario is connected with the phone scam. So in Kaspersky Lab, we have the special products for the Android and the iOS devices that's called Hookals, and we are collecting information about the phone calls. that was received from the phone numbers that are not located in the contact book. So based on our numbers from the Kaspersky security network, we can see that more than 63% of all incoming phone calls from such numbers, it was just a spam. 6% were the fraud calls. So when you're receiving the phone call and there is some guy who is trying to, pretend to be the security account, or for example, if we're talking about the Western Europe, it's going to be some CEO is calling you and asking to do something, then 6% of these phone calls is going to be fraud. So actually, this is the very popular techniques for the really unskilled criminals to receive the money. If we're talking about some big numbers, then, for example, in Russia, we saw that the number of the phone calls where the caller is going to pretend by some the government worker is increased in 4 times. So, and this is numbers for the 2021. Right now, it was the basement, and now it's going to be middle. In the middle of our pyramid, we've got basically the most cases that were in the news. If we would take a look at the numbers, then we can see that I was talking about at the start about that the internet is going to be much more safer place year after year. And in March 2012, we have you see the big, not a drop, but increasing the numbers of the attacks by the ransomware. And what was the big news during receiving these numbers? The big news is that the one computer compromised by the criminals during the 2016, it was not a big deal, because this compromisation was just we've been hacked, just reinstall OS, wipe the hard drive, and so on. But right now, after the getting access to just computer in the company, the criminals, they're going to exfiltrate a lot of data from the network, and they're going to crypt this network and asking for the ransom. And this is going to be the big news, and this is going to be the game changer. Why? Because all this big news about the attack on the colonial pipeline is the result of these big changes. All the big news about the attacking the medical industry, it's the big news. And what happened during the last year, we, based on, of course, same in the news, because we still got no information about the law enforcement from Germany, it's actually death after the ransomware attack. A lot of people who are reviewing this news, they may say that, so this is happening in US, in Europe, and basically most of the gangs, they're speaking Russian. Unfortunately, the Russian companies, they're facing these threats too. And actually, during the couple months, we've shared several reports how the criminals, Russian-speaking criminals, they were encrypting the Russian companies. So that's why, if you think that this is not big news for Russia, that unfortunately that's not true. Because all the countries, all companies worldwide, they're facing with the same threat. And the threat is ransom. The top of our figure. The top is connected, of course, with the APTs, Advanced Persistent Threats. And we have a lot of cool stories about investigations such threats. So basically, the biggest challenges for us, it was the lockdowns. And during this lockdown, for example, in Moscow, we couldn't get out from from our houses, and we couldn't travel for the incident responses. And if, for example, 2 years ago, when I'm seizing the hard drives, I can do this for the several minutes, for the several hours. Then during last year, we've spent several days for the same kind of job. Why? Because there was a lot of because we had a lot of incidents, and they're all going to be, all the communication should be not via the meetings, but with collaboration during the messengers in the group chats. And actually that was really funny, because a lot of guys who was working on site and IT guys who was working for this, for example, in the data centers, they actually had no idea about the security, because they're IT guys. And suddenly we had a lot of stories how I was asking the guy who's working on site to shut down this computer. Not this computer, unplug the network. I said network, not electricity, and so on. So during this mess, we, of course, were spending much more time for the response to the cyber threats than we actually did it like 2 years ago. And why the same ransomware attack was so high, why the level of these attacks is so high? Because of the pandemic. Because when all this started, a lot of companies who were trying to solve the problem business issues. And for example, they needed to provide a lot of laptops for the workers who were started working from home. And it was the question of survival, not just survival for the company, but the survival for the employees. Of course, nobody was thinking about the security measures, information security measures. And that was actually the big hole for the cybercriminals. So that's why the one lonely computer in the 2012-2021 is still the honeypot for the criminals. Not the honeypot for the security guys. No, that was a really honeypot for the cybercriminals. And that's why during last year we have the largest and most sophisticated attack against the SolarWinds. So we built our pyramid. And once again, more than 90% of all incidents connected with the just a scam, with the fake websites, fraud, phone calls, and so on. And we know that there are several thousand criminals that are providing us more than 94% of these incidents. 5% of the incidents are connected with the criminals, with the cybercriminals that are really skilled. They know programming languages, they know security procedures, and so on. And there are hundreds of them. 1% of all incidents is actually started by the dozens of criminals. They are most sophisticated, they are most advanced, and so on. So this is actually our view on this pyramid that changed during the last year. So I was talking about methods that we're using to collect this information about this figure. I showed you numbers, statistics from our products, from our incident responses, travelers, and some information about our investigation. We've built actually this pyramid. And once again, there is a song from Billy Joel, "We Didn't Start the Fire." And I think that this song is really familiar for a lot of us. And we in Kaspersky Lab are going to watch how this is burning, and we will keep you updated about the cyber threats.